So it's been 3 weeks to a month since I sent that open challenge, and it wasn't really a challenge. I was just asking people, give me the other side of what the Unionists say, right? And amongst the racist comment I got is stop occupying America. I have Native American blood in me, but that's not the point. Did the Irish choose to come to the United States, or were they forced out by an artificially incited famine that was coincidentally, well, not coincident, no, that's not a coincidence, at the time when another Anglo-Saxon nation was fighting a war with a break-off of that same Anglo-Saxon nation, and they just used them as a meat grinder. And basically, Irish were used as slaves. I still remember from my grandparents telling me Irish need not apply signs. I mean, even in the United States, up in the north, because in the north you had the racism was more cultural. Well, I don't want to say more cultural. It was black and white in the south, but up north you had the Poles, you had the Italians, you had the Irish. You didn't get it. No, you had to have the name like, you know, Smith or Jones or, you know, something like that. Not Catholic. But I listen to these people, and they're men, and they seem to be normal men from the Loyalist community, and they're telling their side. And the IRA, when the provisionals attacked, and I'm not for the provisionals. I think the Good Friday Agreement turned the provisionals into basically traffickers. That's why continuity, well, I think continuity did the right thing with Rory, I forget his name, when he broke from, I don't want to call Martin McGuinness a traitor. I'm not going to do that. Unfortunately, he fell under the spell of Jerry Adams, who spent the least time in prison, well, not even prison, Long Kesh. And I wish I could have met Brendan Hughes before he died, because he seemed like just like a broken man, just saddened. But you had these guys on the other side, these loyalists, saying that they would just kill any Catholic. Man, woman, child, didn't matter. Because, well, they're killing our people, and we're trying to get them to stop. You had that, you had the Supergrass, you have the revelations of people like Freddie Scappaticci, who were sent in to join the IRA, and then kill Catholics who were not even part of the IRA, just maybe had associations with them, so he could rack up kills that he killed for the IRA, but he told his group that he was assassinating with that they were traitors and they were turncoats. And then he would taunt the families with their death. And even the footage bears it out. Like, even you see from 1968, 1969, these peace marches, we shall overcome. They're looking at America and they're saying, look, the blacks in the South did it. And, you know, I mean, there were bombings in Selma, Alabama, and this kind of stuff. But, you know, the rest of the United States goes, oh my God. And you had civil rights legislation. Sunningdale was shut down. That could have undermined. Somebody said, well, it could undermine the IRA in your eyes. I said, oh, if they would have implemented Sunningdale. As we get off the land, I want my land, my language, and my culture back. That was stolen from me before I was even born. The majority of myself is Irish Catholic. I mean, the freeze and winters we get here, I mean, in Ireland, does it get 25 below zero? Does it get 111 in the summer? In the winter? You know, in the winter, below zero for 3 months. England gave up its colonization of India and its colonization of South Africa and the African, and pretty much the Caribbean, except for some small protectorates or whatever. But the idea that well, the Irish Catholic are subhuman, so it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a plain fact the IRA gave warnings, and I mean, it was these people were pushed into armed struggle. Now, if you want to talk about the 1990s or what went on in the 80s, but even the 80s with the Supergrass, that didn't even stop it. What was a bamboozle of the Good Friday Agreement. What would happen if Ireland was united? Well then, there would be nobody carrying out executions, I mean, Ireland would have to govern itself. And this phone is pissing me off because people keep texting me that I don't need to be hearing from. So, the idea that, well, you're occupying America. I believe Oklahoma should be given to the Native Americans, but at least in schools we learn that it was an atrocity that was done to the Native Americans, the pre-Columbians, and they're seen as almost like the pure people of here and respected people. When people talk to them, they talk to them in very respectful tones because they know. And you're drilled throughout all of school, grade school to high school, that this was a tragedy, and nobody says otherwise. There's no white power people out there, oh, we should run the savages off and this and that. And the government has made a lot of reparations, and mass amount of reparations for education for any of the Native Americans, which, no, it's not enough. And Andrew Jackson's an asshole, and we say that now. But you get nothing like that in Northern Ireland from the Anglo-Saxon, the Pict, the Protestant. You don't get that. You get, well, we were right all along. It was fine for us to, well, you were doing it too. You guys were killing women and children too. Well, accidentally, you guys targeted them. Gusty Spence, King Rat, these people, these people are not Bobby Sands and Brendan Hughes. It's a crying shame that I don't know. I mean, I can't rattle off the other 9 names that had died in the H blocks, but I mean, I've probably listened to about well over 72 continuous hours of both sides. And can somebody please tell me? And I don't need the racist bullshit and the hate mongering and death threats. If you actually have a point, if you actually have a side, if you are correct, then you should be able to say, this is where you're wrong and this is why, instead of pointing fingers, well, look what you did too. You mean something that the Anglo-Saxon did, murdering the Native Americans, and then the Irish got forced over here, 100 years, about 100 years after, into slums, into Boston, into New York, and Chicago, and used basically as a slave labor force with no real rights. The only Irish Catholic who was kind of like one of those jelly bellies, where it's green on the outside, orange on the inside. JFK was shot. He wasn't even a true Catholic. But and I don't mean practicing. I mean to stand up and actually. I mean he did as much to hide the fact he came from Catholic roots. I don't care about your theology, but when you stand with your people, stand with your people. I mean, I have my other. I mean, I criticize things about the papacy and things like this, but I'm not going to betray my own people. Why don't I speak Gaelic? Why don't why am I in a frozen land half the time, in a frying land, humid jungle the other half? I mean, this just. It's shocking. The silence is deafening. The silence of any other person saying, look, hey, I'm a loyalist. I feel the same way as you do, as strongly as you do, but you don't understand. Please tell me where I don't understand or where I'm connecting the dots incorrectly. I would love that. I'd love to be wrong. I want you to show me where I'm wrong. But unfortunately, it seems like places like Belfast, Tyrone, the other side of Ardoyne, all Northern Ireland was basically what the Irish went through in the 40s here, but about 1,000 times worse. So, may God save Ireland. Whether that's an expression, whether you actually believe in a personal deity, whether you're a deist, at least that's what's good about some parts of religion, is that you can just say, well, God save Ireland. It's just a cry from the masses, kind of like what Marx said. Although no Marxism, traditionalism, nationalism. Why can't it be a government for the people, by the people, of the people? Why does it have to be dominated by Protestants? Why does it have to be a colony of the UK? Why not make Northern Ireland a separate country then? You hear what comes out of the mouth of Ian Paisley back in the 60s. He sounds like a Klan member. The Romanism and the priestcraft. That's the Klan. The KKK was against the Catholics. So people say my dark skin. You couldn't see the fact that I'm way darker than a normal Irishman in that last video, but they just see the name and, oh, you're dark skin. And now you got this, 50 dead men walking or whatever. Is it even good enough to see? I don't even, if it's just going to be propaganda, like things like Patriot games, even the Devil's Own was friggin' propaganda, which I'm glad I didn't see that one, but occupation breeds resistance. That's all I have to say. And if the United States fought a revolution over a tax, then over massive civil rights abuses, I believe people are allowed to pick up the gun and the bomb and go to war. And not attack women and children, attack soldiers and police. And when you're a cop 24 hours a day. So, and we know now that the SAS and M5, M6 were giving information to the UVF, UFF, these death squads, Shankill butchers, to go and just kill, just slaughter people. And then in the Supergrass, I don't even like talking about it because it's so fucking depressing. It just makes you want to cry thinking about it. But apparently people are just overjoyed that the Irish Catholics were killed. How in the hell do you say that the Irish Catholic were the aggressor?